ready?
Yes.
All right, it's time.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the DeKalb Planning and Zoning Commission meeting this Monday, November 7th. Could we start with a roll call, please?
Becker,
Here.
O'Flaherty,
Here.
Pena-Graham, here. Stoker,
Here.
Wright,
Here.
McMahon,
Here.
Chair Maxwell,
Here.
7 present.
Thank you. We will go to the approval of the agenda. If there are any additions or deletions, if not, I will ask for a motion to approve.
I'll motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion by McMahon. Seconded by Mr. Wright. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll go to the approval of the minutes from October 17th. If there are any questions or additions or deletions, if not, I will ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Moved by Becker. May I ask for a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by O'Flaherty. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. This is the public participation portion of the show. If we have anyone in the room that would like to speak to anything that is not on the agenda, you may step forward now. If not, we will go to new business. We have a public hearing, a petition by Chris and Laura Mansky, represented by Mark Doherty, for a special use permit to allow the re-subdivision of a TFR, two-family residential zone lot, into a 2 single-family attached lots in accordance with the Article 5.03.06 of the Unified Development Ordinance for the site located at 202/204 Chamberlain Drive. Do we have a presentation? Oh, we'll excuse Ms. Graham for... Yes, conflict of interest. Thank you very much. Do we have a presentation?
Good evening, I'm Mark Doherty. I represent Chris and Laura Mansky, who are present. They are the owners of the property. I really don't have anything to add because Mr. Olson did and I'm not just trying to, but he did a great job presenting what it is that we're intending to do. So the Mansky zone, 202-204 Chamberlain, it's been essentially 2 separate units that they've rented out to various tenants over the years, but their intent now is to have them be separate parcels such that they could alienate and transfer them individually. They are under contract as to the 204 common address, subject to approval by the commission and ultimately the council. We've been working with Mr. Olson, and now I've had some communications with Attorney Rose for the city as well as city engineer to resolve most recently a sanitary easement. The reason being that the service for 202 will essentially need to cross through the common address of 204. So I have included additional language in the proposed declaration of cross easements and party wall agreement that would be recorded along with the plat. And I believe Mr. Rose is working with the engineer to make sure they're comfortable with that language. They're also working then with the city to obtain a permit to do that sanitary service work, and they're ready to go as soon as the permit's approved. And I think that's really about it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Doherty. Do we have a staff report?
Yeah, as Mark mentioned, 202, 204 Chamberlain and duplex requesting to, we've had a few of these in the past years, last one maybe 2-3 years ago. Duplex, but it's on one lot. Since it's being rented out, they'd like to put a lot down the middle of the lot, create 2 lots down the party wall. In the 2-family district, that's allowed. It's a special use procedure that's spelled out directly what the requirements are to do that. They need a special use permit. They need to submit a minor subdivision plat, which they have done, showing the lot split between the 2. It would create 2 lots. Lot 1 would be 4,300 square feet. Lot 2 would be 3,990 square feet. In the TR district, as I mentioned, there's some standards. Each lot, if you do this, has to be at least 3,500 square feet. They meet that. The minimum lot width of 25 feet is required. They meet that also. The interior lot line setback, since it goes down, will be going down the middle of the structure, is removed, so there's no interior lot setback. As mentioned, the declaration of cross easements and common wall agreement has to be submitted, which Mark did submit. They have to have their own separate utilities, water, sewer, et cetera, in which they're working on. There's separate water. They're working on submitting plans to add a separate sanitary for one of the future units. And the agreement was reviewed by a city attorney. We've done about a dozen of these since 1994 when it was added into the UDO. So it does come up occasionally. In fact, all the other lots on Chamberlain there are duplexes too on one lot, so there may be others in the future if they want to do the same thing. We have the findings of fact for special use, which they meet all those. The language is provided showing how they meet each particular standard. We did get one citizen response form that was across the street from George Christensen and Lori Jones of 205-207 Chamberlain, noting support for the request. That was provided in your background materials. So I did provide a slightly revised motion that this added at the end, subject to all staff comments being addressed prior to the recording of the plat. They're working on adding a easement for the sanitary sewer on the plat, and we're asking that to be done prior to the recording of the plat. So the sample motion is prepared as revised that was handed out to you.
All right, thank you, Dan. If there's anybody else that would like to speak to this, you can come forward now. If not, I will close the public hearing and open it up to comments or questions from the commission.
Dan, you talked about having some other similar developments like this. Any concerns, trouble, with any?
No, the last one was about 3 years ago. I can't remember the streets. They're on the south side of the city. One was in the RC1 district too. I've not heard any issues. It's pretty straightforward. It's more of a legal procedure almost. It's splitting the lot, but there's been no issues that arose from those particular ones that were approved.
Okay. Anyone else? Curiosity? Nothing?
Splitting the lot is that for the purpose of selling one or the other? Or?
Yeah, ultimately, they're under contract for one, and thereafter, I would expect they would probably transfer and sell the remaining newly created parcel. But yeah, that is the intent.
Else? Okay. If not, I will ask for a motion to approve.
I can make a motion. Based upon the submitted petition, testimony presented, and findings of fact, I move the Planning and Zoning Commission forward its findings of fact and recommend to the City Council approval of a special use permit to allow the re-subdivision of a TFR 2-family residential zoned lot into 2 single-family attached lots in accordance with Article 5.03.06 of the UDO for the property located at 202-204 Chamberlain Drive, and approval of the final plat of the Mansky subdivision labeled as Exhibit A, subject to all staff comments being addressed prior to the recording of the plat.
So moved by McMahon. May I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by O'Flaherty. Could I have a roll call, please?
Becker,
Yes.
O'Flaherty,
Yes.
Stoker,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
McMahon,
Yes.
Maxwell.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And thank you. And then could we note the time that we asked Ms. Pena-Graham to come back? I hope you found something to read. The second item of business we have is a public hearing, a petition by DINA 5 Inc., DBA Smoker's Choice, represented by Omar, I'm going to apologize for this, Yunus, for approval of a special use permit for a retail tobacco store at 1180 West Lincoln Highway. Is there a presentation?
Hello, my name is Attorney Omar Yunus. These are my clients. They're a small business and a family business that runs several tobacco shops throughout several states, some of them being Kentucky, Indiana, I think the other one is, and Missouri. We are now under a written lease agreement to lease this property, 1180 West Lincoln Highway, and we are contingent upon receiving a special use from the city of DeKalb to operate a retail tobacco establishment that would sell just tobacco items, and there would be no smoking. Currently, the property is a vacant commercial building. It's zoned as it's a commercial, commercial plan designation, and we are just requesting a special use so that my clients can operate their business as a tobacco store.
Okay, thank you. Steph, presentation?
Yes, reports provided, as mentioned, it's a retail tobacco store. That's a special use in the light commercial district, which this site is zoned. It was a former Beef Shack restaurant and other restaurants before that. Beef Shack closed initially in early 2020, reopened in the summer of 2020, and then closed again late last year. So it's been vacant for some time, about a year. In 2015, the city amended the UDO to create regulations for retail tobacco stores. There's a definition provided. You have to have more than, or 30% or more of your revenue devoted to the sale of tobacco products and accessories, or more than 25% of your floor area devoted to tobacco products and accessories, which they obviously meet. And we added it as a special use in our commercial districts, the CBD also, and the industrial districts. This site's zone light commercial, so it's a special use. There were a few setback standards in the regulations too, 200 feet from any residential zone property or a parcel occupied by a public or private school, K through 12. In addition, no retail tobacco store could be located within 200 feet of another retail tobacco store. In Chapter 64, we have smoking regulations also. In there, we do require that the retail tobacco store, if you qualify, must be in a freestanding building, which this is. So now at the time of 2015, we had, doing the research, 3 existing retail tobacco stores in the city. Lucky's on East Hillcrest, a smoke shop in the Junction Shopping Center. Were legal nonconforming. They were established beforehand and can continue, and they're still in operation. The smoke shop was a former name, I think, when they first opened up. Aroma's Hookah Bar, 811 West Lincoln, this recently closed about a month ago, but they were grandfathered in too, so to speak. So the proposed location meets all the standards, the setback standards. It's a freestanding building, of course. That was done, I think, to avoid any retail tobacco store in a multi-tenant structure where you had sharing of ventilation systems, et cetera. There'll be no smoking in this location. There's a drive-through, of course, that was there with the Beef Shack. They're not going to be using that. In fact, we're making that as one of the conditions. They can't use a drive-through in association with the business. And also, if there's any expansion of the building, they have to amend the special use permit, which would require another hearing in front of the commission. Parking, they have adequate parking based on the UDO. They were required about 7 spaces. There's 23, counting them on the site. A few years ago, Beef Shack did do, when they first moved in, a little alteration to the front entrance and added some pickup spaces for people waiting for their food over here. And at that time, we had them add some little landscaping in front. This is Omar mentioned some of their other locations, is pictures of some of their other locations that they operate, the applicant does. And that's the front of the building. So we had them add some landscaping in front a few years ago. The dumpster on site is, there's already enclosure there. So there's no other site issues. Parking's still striped, so there's no other additional changes they need to really make beyond, of course, the inside of the structure. Standards for special use, they comply with the UDO. The comp plan recommends commercial for the site, of course. They're compatible with the surrounding area, which is a variety of commercial service uses. They meet all the site requirements and the UDO requirements for these particular type of uses. We did get one public response form from Sang Woo, owner of 1127 West Lincoln. That's the Popeyes Chicken across the street. There was no additional information provided. They just indicated they did not support the request. So the sample motion is prepared. It recommends approval with 3 conditions. The drive-through on the east side of the building cannot be used in the operation of the special use. No smoking in the existing building on the site. And the existing building cannot be expanded unless they amend the special use permit, which would require a public hearing.
Thank you. And again, if there's anyone that would like to speak to this, obviously there is not, so I will close the public hearing and open it up to comments from the commission. Questions? Observations?
I have a couple quick questions. One, 1,800 square feet for a smoke shop, is that typical of your other businesses?
Yes, we have a couple of locations, one close to 5,000 square foot, the other one 2,800, one in Missouri is 2,300 square foot, and the one in Muncie, Indiana, it's almost 2,200 square foot.
Okay, so for the time being, the building is large enough, but there's a possibility that at some point you may have to expand?
No,
No, this is what you think is appropriate for your needs? Okay, all right.
Tina, I have a question just out of curiosity. What was, when we deemed that it had to be a standalone building, I'm just curious what the rationale was for that.
I guess it was, before I got here, I think it was perhaps related to if a multi-tenant building, there's potential sharing of the ventilation system, and if you had a smoke shop that people are allowed to smoke inside, that might go into another tenant space perhaps, so they just banned those in multi-tenant buildings. But we had 3 in at the time. They were grandfathered, one closed down, but I think that was the reasoning behind it.
But there's no
Thanks.
smoking in any now?
Hmm?
No smoking in any of them now, right? Except-
No, no.
How much of the business is vape smoking? Is it, do you sell those products or just
yeah, we
tobacco?
sell vapes, we sold CBD, Delta 8s, we sell glass, cigars, we will have a humidor in there, and hookah tobacco, and loose tobacco.
How much is vape?
Probably, I would say the other 20% probably is vape.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cigars they're gonna rely on, and other tobacco products and accessories.
Because every area of the store is gonna be different, and it will be certain amount to it, so off the top of my head, I really can't answer it perfectly.
Every neighborhood will be different, so
Sure.
I don't know what DeKalb would, what do they need?
Fair enough. Anyone else?
How many employees will you have to start?
We might start with 1 or 2 employees until we see how business are, and then we can have 2 to 3 employees a shift, or it wouldn't hold more than 2 to 3 employees a shift.
We're saying no drive-through on this location.
No,
Is-
we cannot take all the drive-through, we will block it off
It will be
inside the
blocked.
building,
Okay,
because I believe the landlord, just for future reference, if you get out and he wants to lease it,
okay,
he'd still have the drive-through, so
Sure.
we just gotta block it from inside and outside
okay.
for us not to use it.
Right.
And I personally don't like the drive-through.
Do your other stores have drive-through?
No, none of them are.
Out of curiosity, what will your hours be?
I was just gonna ask.
It also depends on the town, like Kentucky's, my hours there is 10 to 12. Missouri is 10, 11. It depends on the town, but it would be like close to 10 o'clock,
10 to
from
10,
10 to 10.
10 to 11 maybe.
Anyone else?
Are your other locations close to universities?
We got neighborhoods and we got universities.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions,
I just have one comment, just because since I've been here, that's been like a Happy Burger, a taco place, a burrito place, a Beef Shack twice, a hot dog place. So I'm kind of like, wow, something that's not fast food's going in there. That's good luck to you guys. So
Well, I hope it works out for us.
Yeah. It was time for a change.
As long as you don't offer food, you're gonna be fine.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions or comments, I will ask for a motion to approve.
I'll make the motion. Based upon the submitted petition, testimony presented and findings of fact, I move the Planning and Zoning Commission forward its findings of fact and recommend to the City Council approval of a special use permit for a retail tobacco store at 1180 West Lincoln Highway as shown on Exhibit A and subject to the following. 1, the existing drive-through on the east side of the building shall not be used in the operation of the special use. 2, there shall be no smoking in the existing building on the site. And 3, the existing building shall not be expanded without an amendment to the special use permit.
So moved. May I have a second? Moved by Becker, I'm sorry. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Stoker. May I have a roll call, please?
Becker?
Yes.
O'Flaherty?
Yes.
Pena Graham?
No.
Stoker?
Yes.
Wright?
Yes.
McMahon?
Yes.
Maxwell?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good day, guys. Thank you, guys.
So, staff updates?
Just quick, next meeting, November 21st, that'll be at the police department. There's a council meeting and FAC meeting here. We have one hearing, 145 Fisk has come back. They did a concept plan in the spring, proposing rezoning now and a preliminary plan, so for apartments. That's the only hearing that night. Last council meeting on 24th, they did approve the county nursing home plat, an amendment, and also the esports cafe at 901 Lucinda. We'll be getting or we got in partial, the Shell station at 175 West Lincoln, if you recall, approved a variance earlier this year. They did not pull a permit within 6 months, which is required in our UDO that a permit has to be issued for any variance. They had some issue with the contractor, it got delayed, so they'll come back, have another hearing, that should be in December probably. They did remove one of the coolers in the back, which caused the need for a variance. They did take out the small one, it looks like, so. But they'll be back for a hearing in front of you sometime in December. That's all I had, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, questions? If not, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Wright. May I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Pena Graham. All in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry. My O'Flaherty, I apologize. My ears are going the wrong way. Seconded by O'Flaherty. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. No, Mr. Becker. Thank you very much and have a good evening.